Hello everyone. Welcome to eTech Facebook Live Fridays. I'm Tech Bob, and today I'm going to be reviewing some tools that we recommend using for back glass replacement. And this is basically in the scenario of you bought the back glass laser, now what? So the laser will pretty much it'll cancel out the adhesive, or at least to some degree, to make it easier to pry off the glass. But you do need some tools to do that. Now the tools I have here are the essential stuff. It doesn't include some safety things like safety glasses or gloves if you prefer using gloves. Those are things you should already have in your shop. These are the extra things that you may not have from doing other repairs. What I'm going to do is start off with the removal tools and kind of work my way up to the sealing tools. So these are all the tools laid out in front of me right now. As I go through them, I'm going to go over the SKU. These are all located in our laser supplies section as well as our new tool section, because some are on the newer side. But if you have any questions, or you see this video, you're not sure which one it is, feel free to give us a call on our sales line or support line, and we'll direct you to the right direction. So I'm going to move some of these things over. I'm actually going to start off with this multifunctional refurbishment fixture. You may have seen this online already, but this thing basically holds the phone for you while you pry the glass off. It's meant to clamp down on a workbench, so you can use clamps, or you can even bolt it to the bench if you want to do that, kind of like a vise. But the way it works is you put the phone in there, you tighten this knob, and this is universal to any of the phones that you're doing back glass on. And you do is tighten it to where the phone does not slip. So like right now it won't slip. Oh, it's slipping there. Let me tighten a little more, because you don't want it to move in this process. So that looks pretty good. And the cool thing here is you see how right now it spins all the way around until there's this blue lever on this side. As soon as I tighten that, or you have to tighten it a little bit more. Let me see. You do want it a little bit tighter. Once you tighten it, it stays still. So now, say I'm prying the back glass off this phone, which I can do this here in a second, and I'm doing it this direction, but I want to rotate it. I can change it here, then tighten this blue handle right here. So as soon as I tighten it, try to get it even. Now the phone doesn't move. So to start with this removal process, there's a couple tools we can use. The first one is the tried and true tool we've been using the entire time. It's this X-Acto knife holder with a flat blade. I'm gonna go ahead and put one of those in there real quick. And the cool thing about this method is that it has a really fine tip to it, so it is pretty easy to get inside of the glass to start it off, as well as it's strong enough to keep prying the rest of it. And the SKUs for these, so the blade holder itself is 130-1999, and then the X-Acto, the flat blades, which are the ones you want to use, is 130-1802. So to pry this, I actually like starting in the bottom right corner, or just the bottom corners. So I'm going to slide that around, flip that, and I want to try to get in over here on the side somewhere, or really wherever it's cracked and you can get inside of it. Let me try that corner. There we go. So I got in underneath that, and again, you just go through this and pry the rest of the glass up. And again, this is the way this tool works, which we've shown this in other videos before, so it's not really too new. But in addition to that, we also have this new metal crowbar set. So these are a little bit sturdier and stronger to use, and they shouldn't break on you because they're really thick metal. The SKU for this one is 130-7578. Pull these out, and you have 4 different ones to work with. My preferred one is this one right here that has kind of a bladed side to it and then a pointed side over here, so you can get underneath the glass and really pry it free. It has enough of a point to where it can get underneath it, and it's strong enough to where it's not going to break on you. But this thing, these are pretty solid. So this is one of them. This other one has a small crowbar and like a bent side and a little bit of an angled piece too. So same thing, you can use this one. This other one has a smaller pointed piece, a little bit of a curve to it, but not too much. Again, a pry part. Haven't really found a real use for the pry part. You're not really breaking into the phone, so it's a little bit of an odd design for that end, but they're all pretty much used in the same manner to get into different areas. Now, when you get to the finer points, like around the camera area, you might want to use something like your blade or even some tweezers to get in there. But either way, these tools work great for any of those functions. So that's the crowbar set. The next thing I have to show is this back glass breaking pen. We've definitely done a video on this before, and it's been featured a couple times. This thing is great for those areas where the glass is just really stubborn and not wanting to come out, or it's really not cracked at all. So the way this works is one end has a cap you take off. It has the punch end on this side, and this is an adjustable tension. Now the important thing here with the tension is if it's tightened all the way, that's maximum tension. So when I push down and it releases, that's a pretty hard release. What you want to do is actually loosen this as much as you can. So like that's pretty far off. So you notice this time it's punching but not too much. So if I do that now, the other thing when using this pen, I've said that in many past videos, never use it where your laser didn't burn. So I would not ever use this here in the center or in the corners where it didn't burn, because those are danger areas. Over here though, where it did burn, that's a safe spot. So I'm going to use that. I don't know if you notice in the video, but it's cracking my glass even more. And this is great to use around the camera area, especially when you're dealing with your tri-camera phones like your iPhone 11 Pro, Pro Max, the 12 Pro Series, 13 Pro Series. That camera area can be really difficult. So you use this pen to break it up, and then it makes it easier to get in there and pry the glass up away from the phone. So now I have little pieces to break off. It's coming off a lot easier. It's not that big of a deal to pry off. Now, again, this tool can cause damage if you're not careful, so have the tension out as much as possible first and then slowly tighten as you need more power. Definitely test this out before you go just popping away on any of the really more expensive phones. If you have demo phones lying around, that's always a big recommendation I have for people starting out with laser back glass repair. Try it out on a couple dead phones you have lying around just to get the feel down, because a lot of this process is about feel. You have to figure out how much pressure to use on your blade or where to use this back glass pen, and it just comes with practice. But that's the back glass breaking pen. Again, really helpful tool, and to be honest, I don't think many people do an iPhone 11 or newer without it, just because that camera area can be really difficult to get to. All right, and I think I have only 2 more to review, so I'll keep it going. I'm making kind of a mess here. I'm not going to pry all the glass off on this phone either. It's just more of an example phone, so excuse the mess. Let me see if I can sweep it to one side for a second. Here we go. I'm just going to use a nice Sesamo as my little broom. And definitely clean up during this process. Something is really important. One thing I didn't have in the video today, but is a good recommendation too, is having just like a little dustpan and broom. What that'll do is help you clean up during this process, because not only is it a danger for yourself, you can get glass shards in your hand, but if you are, say, not using something like this, say I just had the phone down on the table and I'm moving it around. This phone doesn't have a screen on it because it's one of our tester phones, but if I had this phone on here with just the screen on there, I could scratch up the screen. A tip for that, just to kind of help avoid it besides cleaning, take Scotch tape or packing tape, some type of protective film, put it over your screen, so when you are moving the phone around, it doesn't scratch up your screen or damage it, because that goes from a profitable repair to a not profitable repair pretty quickly. So continuing with the last couple tools, the first one I have is E8000. So there's a lot of different options out there for gluing down the back glass. I've seen anywhere from double-sided adhesive to cold press glue to an elastic type adhesive like E8000, B7000, T7. There's different variations of it. E8000 is the one we found the best luck with, so it's the one we use. The great thing about this adhesive versus cold press or the double-sided adhesive is this is elastic. So the cold press adhesive will usually dry a little bit harder and it takes a little bit longer. This, our average dry time is around 30 minutes, sometimes on the 15-minute end, depending on how much glue you use. But basically what you do is you take the glue, you put it everywhere the glue was before, so you just follow the manufacturer recommendations. We'd go around the perimeter, and you kind of serpentine or S-shape around the frame. Again, don't put glue anywhere it wasn't before because it's not supposed to be there. You then take your glass, lay it on there, and as far as the glue goes, the biggest application is back glass repair. This big tube at least. You can use this for the home buttons if you're doing iPads. When you're gluing the spacer, the spacer onto the screen, you can use a couple dots of this on there, and that'll help glue the spacer on without causing too much space, because it's basically non-existent when it comes to spacing. It squishes down, and it won't lift the device or whatever you're gluing down at all. And the cool thing too about this, it's not like super glue. So say you do have to get back into the device, or say you have to take the back glass off, you're not sitting there with a hammer and chisel trying to get this stuff off. So this glue is really good. And the SKU for this one, if I did not say it, it's 130-7421. So that's the E8000. And the final tool I have for you guys today, this is the back glass replacement clamp or press. We actually have a couple versions of this. The first one was the gold looking one. That one works. I actually have one up here. Here, I'll put it down real quick just as an example. So this is the original one. The issues we have with this one is a little bit more on the heavy side when it comes to weight. So usually with shipping, it causes an increase as far as importing it from China as well as shipping it to you all. So we went with this version. It's called the light press for a reason. It's the minimal version, but it's all you need really to fit any phone you're doing. This fits up to the Pro Max series, and the way it works is you have these two adjustable knobs on the sides. You loosen it, you slide the phone in there. And I'm not going to put this one in there now because I don't want to mess this one up. There's shards of glass everywhere, but we're going to pretend I slid a phone in there. Once it's in there, you just tighten it, apply even pressure on each side, and you leave it in there for, I would say, about 15 to 30 minutes. That'll get the adhesive to really bond, and you're applying firm pressure evenly across the whole thing, so the back glass is going to sit flush on the phone. Using something like this versus the clamps, which I thought I had some clamps here. So here we go. I have a couple here. Using these right here are good too, but the problem with this is to get the same effect as this, you probably have to use like 6 or more of these clamps, so like 3 on each side and then 2 at the, so like 8 of them, where you can just use one of these and it takes care of it. Again, primary purpose is back glass replacement, but say you're trying to seal a Samsung phone that you just did a screen replacement on, and it glued the screen onto the new or to the frame instead of using with frame. You can use this to seal the screen on there too. And say even if you're putting the back glass back on a Samsung, you can use it for that too. But main purpose that we brought it on for is for iPhone back glass replacement. But this thing is great here. Those are all the tools I had to recommend today for back glass replacement. Again, this one was more of for those people that are already doing back glass that either are struggling with the tools they have, or if you're just getting into it and you got the laser but you're not sure what else you need, this is a great example. And if you want even a more extended service offering, if you go on our website to, it's the tool section and then laser supplies, that has all the things related to tools for back glass replacement. It doesn't have the lasers in there because that's a kind of a separate tool, but it has everything else in there. So all the tools I've shown here today and then some. We also have some bundles you can buy too. We have a back glass replacement bundle that has a lot of these tools included together. I don't think it has this fixture, the crowbars, but it has a lot of these other things. So you can just pick up one of those bundles and a laser and you're good to go as well. But that's all I had for today's video. If you guys have any questions or recommendations for a stream next week or future streams, let us know. I know we posted this one a little bit later in the week with the holiday going on, but we're going to try to put our next content or our next idea up either Monday or Tuesday next week, so keep an eye out for that event. Since we did a product review or a product related thing this week, we may do a repair one next week, so if there are any repairs you've been struggling with yourself or you've seen out there on forums that people are having a problem with, let us know. We'd be happy to either give some tips on how to make that repair easier or at least show our process for doing the repair to avoid damage and make it easier. So that's all I have for today, guys. I hope everyone has a great weekend, and we'll see everyone on next week's stream. Bye.